Welcome back to the TheSlamDuncan YouTube channel. This video is obviously going to be about the latest Bulls news and that the Chicago Bulls have signed former assistant Sixers general manager Marc Eversley. But before we get into this video, I want to talk to you guys about a couple things really quickly. First off, there were no videos posted last week, and the reason why is because last week was my last week of the semester for school, and currently I am doing online classes due to the pandemic. But that's the reason why there weren't any videos last week, as last week was basically finals, like final projects, final papers for me, so I had to take the time off to make sure I get everything done. So if you did not know that, or you did know that, if you saw my comment on my previous video saying that there weren't going to be any videos, then that's great. If you didn't see that, I just appreciate you all being patient with me, as I wasn't able to post any videos last week, so thank you for being patient with me on that. Secondly, I want to address something else, which is the comments which I'm getting on my videos, which overall I am just so happy to see that so many people are commenting on my videos, and I'm extremely happy to see that because I love talking basketball to really anybody, especially during this time right now where there's no basketball going on. Talking about basketball with anybody, it brings me a lot of joy. So if you're afraid to comment your opinion, or if you haven't ever commented on one of my videos, definitely start doing that, because I will definitely reply back to you, and we'll talk back and forth about anything really, especially about the Bulls. So if you're kind of on the edge about it, don't be afraid. Please do not be afraid. Definitely keep commenting on my videos. I really love talking to you guys, and it's been a lot of fun. And then thirdly, this is kind of going back to my first thing, which is because I took last week off to finish all my schoolwork. I want to hopefully make you guys follow me on Twitter if you can. So my Twitter is at Duncan_White14. And this would be the best way for me to communicate to my subscribers, hey, I need to take a week off, or I have some other messages, or just video ideas. And I'm more than willing to listen to you guys about video ideas. So if you could follow me on Twitter at Duncan_White14, that would be the best way to message out to all my subscribers anything about the channel, about me having to take some time off, or about video ideas. So definitely do that if you can. I'd really appreciate it. And obviously, before we get into this video, make sure you hit that like button. Also, if you're new to the channel, especially if you're a Bulls fan, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And like I said before earlier, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Duncan_White14. But let's get into this. So I'm hoping to keep this a little bit shorter than the Karnisovas videos, but I do have a lot to say. But what I want to talk about first is this. I want everyone to know this and get this clear in their head. Karnisovas is running the show still, alright? Marc Eversley is not going to be the man in charge. Karnisovas is officially the man in charge, okay? He is calling all the shots. If any decisions are going to be made, it has to run through him first, okay? So what I've been seeing a lot recently, especially once this signing was first announced, that Eversley is now the GM, people were already starting to hate on Eversley, and I was kind of shocked because a lot of the Bulls fans have always said, well, anybody better than Garpax is better. And then all of a sudden we get, Eversley to come in, they're like, oh, that was such a horrible signing. So I don't understand if you say anybody better than Garpax is better, but then you hate on Eversley. That doesn't make any sense to me, okay? So what I want to talk about is that while Eversley has, his track record doesn't look amazing, he is still a very valuable asset to this Bulls team. So, but we have to understand is that Karnisovas is the man in charge. Eversley is not the VP right now. He is the GM. He is not in Karnisovas' role. All right, I want to be very clear on that, because I think people are getting really confused. And Eversley won't be calling the shots. Okay, he's gonna have a lot of say in what this team does, but he is not gonna be the man in charge. All right. So if you don't like him, which I don't know why you don't like him, then stop acting like he's the man in charge. Karnisovas is here, all right? So that's the first thing I want to get off, is that Eversley is the GM. He is not the VP of Executive Basketball Operations, okay? So what I do want to talk about, though, is that a lot of people are saying that Eversley is, he was like a prodigy of Colangelo, and the 76ers, they haven't necessarily had the best time with free agents. or really making any of their moves recently. And first off, with the Colangelo thing, there are people that work under of other people all the time, and they don't always take what the person above them has in with their characteristics or capabilities. So I'm not too worried about Eversley becoming the next Colangelo for the Bulls. And you have to remember, Karnisovas is the one in charge, okay? So if he sees Eversley start to not do things that he likes, he has every right to fire him, and also he is not going to be making any of those moves that the Bulls will make officially. So I don't want to really hear about this whole, he worked under Colangelo type thing. And what we have to remember is that Eversley is widely respected around the league, and he's worked for a lot of teams. So that itself with the Colangelo stuff, I don't want to hear it anymore, all right? Now, getting to the 76ers, and a lot of people have said that Eversley was in charge of the 76ers last offseason when they re-signed Tobias Harris for a 5-year, $190 million deal, and they also went out and signed Al Horford to a very big contract. Now, if that's true, okay. I first want to say is that if you're criticizing the Al Horford deal, let's try to remember back to what you thought when the Al Horford deal first happened, all right? I'll even admit that I thought the Al Horford signing for the 76ers was actually a really good move, because the 76ers, while they were lacking a power forward, the main thing that I thought they were lacking is a guy to back up Embiid. And if you get Al Horford, then while Al Horford will start, he will also be the backup center to Embiid. And if Embiid has to miss some games, which he's done every single season, then Al Horford can slide over to center, and your center spot is still filled with a capable player who can start on many, many teams and do so many things that the 76ers team needs. While it's been such a disappointment for Al Horford this season with the 76ers, you have to think, though, that did you judge that signing as a good signing or a bad signing when you first saw it? And I think a lot of people, especially just around the NBA, thought that the Al Horford signing was actually a really good deal. So if Eversley was in charge of making that decision, you can't necessarily criticize him if you thought the Al Horford deal was good. Now, the Tobias Harris deal, I was already very, very skeptical of that deal in the first place. So if Eversley was in charge of that decision, then you can blame him for that. That is totally fine. But that's if you thought the Tobias Harris deal was bad to begin with. Now, if you thought both moves were bad to begin with, then yes, you have and you don't like Eversley, you have a right to not like Eversley with the deals that he made this past offseason. But I don't think it's 100% confirmed that Eversley was the man in charge for making those two decisions. While they both have not turned out well, and a lot of money is guaranteed to both of those players, we have to remember this. Karnisovas is not Elton Brand, and Karnisovas will be the man in charge. So if Eversley wants to go get a guy and sign a guy to a big contract, Karnisovas, we have to believe in him that he won't let something like that happen, okay? So I don't want people to be so paranoid with Eversley about him making a terrible decision when he is not the person that is running the show, okay? And to be honest, I really think Marc Eversley is a really good signing for this Bulls team. Because while the 76ers made some questionable moves, you have to think, man, they did make some really good moves to get to the position they were at. Now, I also think with Eversley, I think one of the things that he's going to agree with, hopefully with a lot of Bulls fans, is that Boylen needs to go. And the reason why I say that is while Brett Brown has not actually looked very, very good, I still think Eversley understands that it is important for a coach to come in and teach this team properly how to win games. And this leads me to one of the tweets that Joe Coley, who I don't 100% always trust with Joe Coley, but he did tweet out a fact the other day, and that's Marc Eversley, he keeps his relationships, which he's very, very good with the players, coaches, anywhere he's worked with. So that's something that is a positive with Marc Eversley, is that if the Chicago Bulls are going to go after a free agent, he has very, very good relationships with the NBA players, and he also has really good relationships with the other staff that he has on the team. And one of those guys that Eversley is good friends with is Adrian Griffin, who is currently the assistant coach for the Toronto Raptors. And Adrian Griffin has already been rumored to be potential candidate for the Chicago Bulls. So if Marc Eversley can pull Adrian Griffin to the Chicago Bulls, I mean, I am all for that. And I know a lot of people are thinking, well, what about Kenny Atkinson, Mark Jackson? Adrian Griffin has been an assistant for a really long time, and if anything, I think this man deserved a head coaching job like 2 years ago. So I think Adrian Griffin, who was a former Bulls assistant coach, has all the capabilities of bringing this team from the rebuilding level to the next level to hopefully being a playoff type team, especially under Karnisovas, who, remember, is running the show. So Marc Eversley, while you think about the time with the 76ers that it wasn't amazing, especially this past offseason, you still have to remember the positives with him, and that he has such a really good relationship with all NBA players, and he has good relationships with assistant coaches that he's worked with in the past, including Adrian Griffin, who could potentially be the next Bulls head coach. So I don't want people to continue talking about the negatives with Marc Eversley. And I just really hope that people understand that Karnisovas brought this man on. And a lot of people trust Karnisovas. So if you trust Karnisovas, you have to trust him with this move, especially because this is his right-hand man. So Eversley coming in, I think that shows that Karnisovas really trusts him. So you must trust Karnisovas on this one, okay? Now, obviously, with this move, this officially has redone the Chicago Bulls front office. Now that Karnisovas is the executive vice president, we got Marc Eversley as the GM. We've already brought in a couple of other guys as well. Brought in already a couple of assistant GMs who will be working alongside Eversley. And one of those guys is JJ Polk. Now, JJ Polk, if you don't know, he is currently one of the top people that understand the salary cap. And if you're worried about what if Eversley made the decision to sign Tobias Harris to that max deal or sign Al Horford to that much money, you have to remember that JJ Polk is going to be working alongside Eversley, and he knows the salary cap like no other. So JJ Polk is extremely important because he understands the salary cap and will keep both Karnisovas and Eversley in check and make sure that they're not spending too much money. And obviously, also, the Bulls brought in Pat Connolly, who has done a fantastic job scouting guys, not just for prospects, but also just guys in the league. And he has that connection with Karnisovas because he has worked with the Denver Nuggets as well. So you have to remember that Marc Eversley, while he is the GM, he's going to have people working alongside him. And his front office isn't just going to be two guys like how it was with Gar Pax. There's going to be multiple people, especially a lot of specialists like JJ Polk, who are going to be working in the Bulls front office, and they'll keep the people, everyone, in check to make sure they don't make a stupid move. Another person I am hoping the Bulls do bring on, I'm not sure what his role would be, but if he is brought on, I believe Nazim Mohammed would be a good person to come in and be another specialist with this Bulls front office as well. And it's not just because of Nazi being a former Bulls player, but he's also a really smart guy. So I think he could come in and also have that good connection as well with the NBA players and the NBA coaches. So I would like Nazi to also come in and have some sort of role with the front office. So that's what I think about with Marc Eversley and this major move that dropped Sunday night. Last thing I do want to talk about is the Bulls' future, and that is with Jim Boylen. So now that Eversley is officially in, it seems like the Bulls are going to actually kind of wait a little bit before they make another major move, which if the next major move would come, it would be fire Jim Boylen. Now, what I keep telling people is that Jim Boylen, I think he is going to stay for the time being, especially because the NBA is currently under hiatus. And if you think about it, the NBA is still technically going on. So it would be pretty rude of the Chicago Bulls to start interviewing other NBA coaches, especially ones that are with a championship contender, about the Bulls coaching job, because the NBA is still technically going on and they don't know if the season is going to be canceled. So don't expect any Bulls head coaching news until either the season is over or the season is canceled, because I don't expect really anybody to be talking to other coaches right now because the NBA season is still technically going on. Now, once, like we've seen before with like Alvin Gentry, he already agreed to be the Pelicans head coach while he won a championship with the Warriors, and he was still a Warriors assistant coach, but that was like in postseason, and the NBA has not played a postseason game yet. So if the NBA starts up again, don't expect any talks about the Bulls head coaching job until probably the postseason if the NBA starts up or the season is canceled. Because once the season is officially canceled or the postseason starts, then the Bulls will have the chance to start talking to some guys, especially because half the league won't be playing anymore. And then they can talk to some more guys as well, because there's going to be less games being played for the NBA playoff teams. So don't expect any head coaching news for quite a while, but it's officially now that the Bulls have revamped their entire front office, and hopefully there will probably be some more moves in the bringing in more specialists into the front office, and hopefully maybe we'll see some former players like Nazim Mohammed come back and be part of the Chicago Bulls. But that is all I have for you guys in today's video. Make sure you leave a like on this video. Also, subscribe to my channel, especially if you're a Bulls fan, if you haven't already. Also, follow me on Twitter at Duncan_White14. And definitely leave your comments down below of your thoughts of what you think of the Marc Eversley signing, as he is now officially the Chicago Bulls GM.